Have you ever wondered how a commoner could rise to become a queen and save a nation? Today, we're embarking on an extraordinary journey through the pages of history and the book of Esther in the Bible. We'll meet Esther, an unassuming Jewish girl who defies all odds to become the queen of Persia. Her tale is set in an era where kings ruled with an iron fist and queens were more ornaments than power players. But Esther was no ordinary queen. She was a beacon of courage and wisdom, a savior for her people in the face of imminent danger. With the grandeur of the Persian Empire as our backdrop, we'll meet the characters that shape Esther's story. A king with a temper, a cunning adversary, and a wise cousin who sees potential in a humble girl. So how did this ordinary girl find herself in such an extraordinary situation? Let's delve into this intriguing tale. Esther, originally named Hadassah, was an orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai. The story of Esther's early life is one of humble beginnings, steeped in the traditions of her Jewish faith. As an orphan, she found a guardian and mentor in her older cousin Mordecai, who took her under his wing and raised her as his own. In the heart of Babylon, amidst the grandeur of the Persian Empire, they lived a modest life. Esther, however, was not an ordinary girl. Her beauty was beyond compare, yes, but it was her intelligence, kindness, and humility that truly set her apart. Despite the hardships she faced, Esther carried herself with grace and dignity, attributes that would soon catch the eye of someone very powerful. King Xerxes, ruler of the Persian Empire, found himself in need of a new queen. His previous queen, Vashti, had been banished, and the search was on for a woman worthy of the throne. The king's advisors suggested a royal beauty pageant of sorts, gathering the most beautiful women from every province for the king to choose from. Despite her humble origins, Esther was chosen to be among these women. Her beauty was obvious, but it was her character that truly shone. She carried herself with a grace and humility that was rare in the opulence of the court. King Xerxes was taken by Esther, not just by her physical beauty, but by her spirit, her intelligence, and her kindness. In a surprising turn of events, Esther, the Jewish orphan girl raised by her cousin Mordecai, was chosen by King Xerxes to be his queen. It was an ascension that no one, least of all Esther herself, could have predicted. Yet, in the grandeur of the Persian court, Esther maintained her humility and grace. Thus, Esther, a humble Jewish girl, became the queen of Persia, unbeknownst to the king about her Jewish heritage. Her story, however, was only just beginning. While Esther was settling into her new royal life, a sinister plot was brewing in the palace. Enter the antagonist of our story, Haman. He was the king's highest-ranking official, but beneath his veneer of respectability, a dark heart harbored deep prejudice. Haman despised the Jews, and he devised a ruthless scheme to exterminate them all. His plot was to convince the king that the Jews were a threat to the kingdom, manipulating him to issue a decree that would seal their fate. Now let's pivot to Mordecai, Esther's cousin and guardian, a man of strong faith and integrity. He served in the king's gates, keeping his ears open to the palace's whispers. It was there that he overheard the chilling details of Haman's plan. The news filled him with dread, but it also sparked a flame of defiance. He knew he couldn't stand by and watch his people face annihilation. Mordecai sent a message to Esther, pleading with her to intervene. He revealed Haman's plot and urged her to use her position as queen to save their people. But this was no small request. Esther had concealed her Jewish identity when she became queen. Revealing it now could put her in grave danger. Yet Mordecai's words echoed in her mind. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther was faced with a choice that would alter the course of her life and the lives of her people. She could remain silent, preserving her safety and position, or she could reveal her identity, risking everything to plead for the lives of her people. Esther was faced with a daunting task: reveal her true identity and plead for her people, or remain silent and safe. Faced with this grave situation, Esther made a choice that would change the course of history. A choice that required courage, faith, and a deep conviction in the power of prayer. Esther the queen was about to become Esther, the savior. Esther devised a plan to save her people. She understood that she needed divine intervention, and so she called for a fast. For 3 days and 3 nights, Esther, her maids, and all the Jews in Susa abstained from food and water, seeking God's favor in the perilous task that lay ahead. This act was not just a demonstration of faith, but also a testament to her leadership. She was not merely asking her people to pray, she was standing in the gap with them, enduring the same hardship, and interceding on their behalf. After the fast, Esther put on her royal robes and approached the king, uninvited. This was a bold move, for anyone who approached the king without being summoned could be put to death. But Esther was willing to risk her life for her people. In the king's court, she revealed her identity as a Jew and exposed the wicked plot of Haman. She pleaded for her life and the lives of her people, laying bare the evil intentions of Haman before the king. This was a defining moment, not just for Esther, but for all the Jews. Esther's courage in the face of adversity is a powerful testament to her faith. She risked her life to save her people, showing an incredible strength of character. She stood up to the most powerful man in the kingdom, not for her own benefit, but for the sake of her people. And it was this courage, this unwavering faith, that won over the king. Esther's plea touched the king's heart, leading him to not only spare the Jews, but also to execute justice on Haman. Her courage and faith not only saved her people, but also changed the heart of the king. Esther's story is a powerful reminder that even in the face of the greatest threats, courage and faith can change the course of history. Esther's plea did not fall on deaf ears. King Ahasuerus, moved by her courage and conviction, granted her request. In a twist of irony, the tables were turned. The king issued a new decree not to destroy the Jews, but to allow them to defend themselves against any who sought to harm them. The edict echoed throughout the kingdom, reaching every province, every city, and every household. The Jews, once the target of extermination, were now armed with the right to protect their lives. The king's decree was a devastating blow to Haman. The architect of the plot against the Jews, he had envisioned a kingdom purged of their presence. Instead, he found himself on the receiving end of a cruel fate. His grand plan had not only failed, but had backfired with devastating consequences. Haman, who had once held the king's favor, was now the object of his wrath. He was hung on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai, Esther's cousin and adoptive father, who had refused to bow to him. Following the downfall of Haman, the Jews achieved a resounding victory. On the day initially set for their destruction, they defended themselves against their enemies. The Jews, who were once seen as easy prey, proved their might, striking fear into the hearts of those who dared to challenge them. Their triumph was not just a victory over their enemies, but also a testament to their resilience and determination. At the heart of their triumph was Esther. She was more than a queen. She was a beacon of hope, a symbol of courage, and the savior of her people. Her bravery and wisdom had turned the tide of their fate. Esther's story is a powerful reminder that one person's actions can alter the course of history. And so Esther, the unexpected queen, became the savior of her people. Esther's story is not just a tale of courage and faith, but it's also filled with lessons for us today. At the heart of her narrative, we see a woman who, despite her fears, chose to stand in the face of adversity. Her courage is a beacon, illuminating the path for those who find themselves in challenging situations. Esther also exemplifies unwavering faith in God's plan. Even when circumstances seemed dire, she trusted in a divine purpose, teaching us the value of patience and surrender. Moreover, Esther's story underscores the power of standing up for what's right, no matter the cost. Her audacity to challenge an unjust decree showcases the influence one person can wield when they choose righteousness over convenience. In the face of danger, Esther chose to stand up for her people, reminding us of the power of courage and faith. Who knows, like Esther, we might be where we are for such a time as this.